An Atlanta woman says she lost more than $500,000 to romance scammers. Now, romance scammers are often overseas, far from law enforcement. In this case, however, officers have arrested 3 people right here in the Atlanta area. Will the people arrested ever go to trial? Will the victim ever face her scammers in court? This is Elizabeth's story, 6 years in the making.
I wish I was with you right now. I just miss you.
This voice once stirred Elizabeth's heart.
I come to calling to check on you to know how you're doing.
He was so kind when he called and when he sent emails. He would always be there for me and never worry.
Have a good night. Sleep well.
This same voice almost led her to end her life.
It was really painful, and I've lost all of my money.
It started in 2019. Elizabeth, not her real name, met a match on the dating app Bumble. Michael Lawrence, an oil and gas company CEO from the UK. She lived in the Atlanta area. He was in Atlanta for business.
So he talked about his wife who died of ovarian cancer. And so my heart just went out to him.
Elizabeth, just retired, was traveling in the U.S. Michael was flying out to work on international business deals. Meeting up wasn't possible just yet, but he kept in constant contact with ever more complimentary emails and long phone conversations in what he called his sexy Italian accent.
Are you about to take off? I don't miss you so much.
He started calling me every day. He was telling me about his business.
We're in the flight now. I wish I could have advance before I leave.
We spoke on the phone for hours, talking about backgrounds, about his children. It was a very intimate portrait of his life that he gave me, and I bought into it.
Soon, he was falling in love, sending pictures from his past and current adventures during his months of travel.
He says he was in Bangladesh getting ready to go on the oil drilling.
On a project overseas, giving a talk in Washington, D.C., meeting former President Obama and the First Lady. Sweetheart, I promise you a lifetime of happiness and love. Come dance on the moon with me. He wanted to get married and called himself her husband.
He said, I have been depressed, I have been sad, and you have helped me through those times. And it was really quite beautiful.
Within a few months, Michael became a central figure in her life, her long-distance romance. But back at home in Georgia, a group of supporting actors was preparing the stage for a scam worth more than $500,000, and Elizabeth was their target. Michael's story was a sham. Many of his love messages simply copied, word for word, from love letter websites. The pictures of Michael Lawrence were stolen from a man named Alexei Sitnikov in Russia. Where Michael claimed to have met with former President Obama and the First Lady, it was really Alexei in 2012, as seen on his Facebook page. Where Michael claimed to be speaking at a conference in D.C., it was really Alexei in Russia, with the Russian word erased from the podium. Where Michael claimed to take part in a speaker's panel, it was really Alexei with the name changed. Michael Lawrence did not exist.
It's just about their manipulation, both psychologically, emotionally.
Every stolen picture, every email matched the scammer's narrative. The plane rides, the meetings with officials, the construction projects for Michael's company, M Oil and Gas Institute, complete with social media pages and a website listing Michael as CEO. But the scammers took it one step further.
I was upset about something he said or did, and maybe I was getting suspicious, I'm not sure. But he said, oh, no, let's do some video calls. I'm here for you, everything's fine.
A live video call from Michael's work trip in Bangladesh to Elizabeth on her travels in Hawaii. The video matched her Michael. So did the voice.
The person in the Skype actually looked like the picture that was on his profile.
She knew nothing of deepfakes, computer-generated simulations that can look and sound real. This may have been the key that locked up the scam.
It was so real and so convincing.
Back in Atlanta, 3 people helped lay an intricate trap, according to court documents, with a web of businesses and bank accounts. First, they say, Carly Anthony, a contractor and handyman, according to his Facebook page, registered a business in Georgia called Carly's Contracting and Remodeling at this address in Lawrenceville. He opened business accounts at banks near his home. Second, investigators say Adewale Shofoluwe, a healthcare IT analyst, according to his LinkedIn profile, registered a business at an apartment here in Brookhaven in the Atlanta area. He called it A-Wizzy Logistics, opening a business account at a bank nearby. Third, they say, Henry Franklin, a college-level math instructor, registered a business called Go Far Co. at this apartment in Marietta, Georgia, with accounts at multiple banks in the area. 3 people, 3 companies, multiple accounts, all ready, court documents say, for the final scene with Michael and Elizabeth.
When he told me he was going on this oil rig, it was going to be underneath water, right? He's going to be underneath. That's why it was dangerous. He couldn't talk to me.
In Bangladesh, Michael was trying to finish up a business deal that would allow him to retire and be with Elizabeth at last.
It's $65 million for this big oil rig that he needed for the job.
He was buying expensive rig equipment, but was in a remote area and couldn't do the deal himself.
And he said, please help me because I'm on an oil rig here in Bangladesh and I don't have access and I need to give you access so we can pay for this rig.
She finally agreed and, at his request, logged into what looked like his real bank account on a real bank site. There, she saw transactions that supported his story over the last few months, where he flew, where he stayed, what he did. She transferred the money. But suddenly, a message popped up.
Taxes on the rig were due, and taxes of something like $22 million. And so I said, well, I hope you have the money to cover that.
And he said, no, they froze all my assets and I can't do it. And if I can't get the money now, I'll lose this project in Bangladesh.
There was a flurry of emails, calls, and messages, some from his bank and his attorney. If she could help pay the tax now, he could pay her back right away. And in a few days, all this stress would come to an end.
He called me that night and said, I need your help. I'm going to reach out to my best friends. I have one in Australia, one in Tokyo. They can all provide me some money. Can you help me just a little bit to help me get my rig? Because after this, we will have a life of bliss.
Against her better judgment, she decided to help. Michael seemed to have a great deal of money at his disposal once his funds were unfrozen. As directed, she sent off $300,000 in several payments to a business account, Carly's Contracting and Remodeling, supposedly a business that would help pay the taxes. She checked the company's business registrations before sending the money.
Just to see that it was really a company. They looked legitimate to me. And they both looked like construction-type companies.
She then sent $350,000 more in several payments to the A-Wizzy Logistics account, believing it would help complete the deal and allow Michael to come home. But Michael never did. In fact, she believed, she caused his death.
That was very traumatic and still is. It is a trigger that still hurts.
Investigators say as soon as Elizabeth's money arrived in the accounts, the business owners, Carly and Adewale, started moving the funds out, in some cases to the business accounts of Henry Franklin, who then also moved the money out quickly, sometimes to other countries. At some point during the process, Regions Bank detected a scam payment and called Elizabeth with the terrible news.
I said, you don't know what you're talking about. This is a real person. I've been talking to him for a long time. We've been corresponding. I've seen him. And he said, believe me, this is a scam.
Her life savings gone. Her intense romance just an illusion.
I was beyond total shock. I can't even tell you, and disbelief. I couldn't breathe.
I was shaking. I was crying.
Devastated, she contacted Michael.
He said, I have no reason anymore to live. You have hurt me terribly. And that's when I heard a gunshot. I suppose if one could say hell, it was hell.
I was in shock, thinking that whoever was on the other end of the line really did hurt themselves.
And felt that I had caused his suicide.
And it is so traumatic. It really is. And there are times where you think you don't want to live.
I didn't want to live because of the shame.
How naive could I have been to fall for this?
She thought she might never recover. Finally, police arrested 3 people: Carly Anthony, Adewale Shofoluwe, and Henry Franklin. The owner of A-Wizzy Logistics is on the run now, and the masterminds playing Michael are likely overseas, possibly out of reach of U.S. law enforcement. Would the case hold? And would anyone ever face a judge?
Today is the big day.
5 years after the scam, the case involving the Atlanta suspects is coming to its biggest moment.
Elizabeth is going to see 2 people who she believes are involved in the scam face to face for the first time.
Our office did further investigation, found 3 more victims in Tennessee, Iowa, and Nevada.
Carly Anthony, the contractor, appears in the courtroom in front of Judge Tangela Berry, offering up a possible plea bargain. But the judge gets the final decision.
Everybody has to be accountable for their own actions, and that's just how it is.
The DA's office says he opened up 6 accounts to run money through as banks constantly shut them down.
Every time an account closed, we go open up another account.
Alongside him, Henry Franklin, the math instructor, also churning through accounts as banks cut off his access. The DA's office says Henry moved millions of dollars through and earned about $12,000 for his work, with 4 victims of the romance scheme, though only Elizabeth sits in the courtroom today.
The facts of trial will show that he ran at least 4 bank accounts and he moved well over $3.6 million in just a couple month portion of the case.
But Henry's defense attorney says Henry was just following orders from another player in the scheme, a woman who has not yet been arrested, and did not know the money was coming from scams.
He walked in, put the money into the account with instructions on where that money was to go. And that was what he thought was a business, a legitimate business, but all those cash.
How did a college-level math instructor believe that shuffling millions around with banks shutting down multiple accounts was legitimate?
I don't think to insult him, but he's a dumb, smart guy. I mean, he's a smart guy, but he doesn't see.
I mean, the bank closed his accounts and he would reopen it somewhere else.
He would open several accounts and run them through. She told him, listen, as you run this amount of money through, some of these banks aren't going to like it and they'll close you down.
You can't be an academic and not understand your bank account get closed. That's a red flag. So that's when you're heading to that. And you're saying when you try to pretend like you don't realize something's wrong.
Now it's time for Carly Anthony's attorney to take the podium. He says Carly did not know the money he moved was part of a scam, and the attorney's willing to point the finger instead at Elizabeth.
So the question is, does the victim, is she held to any kind of accountability as to what happened? Yes, it's her money. Here's a man that she just met on Bumblebee dating site. Bumblebee, she met him on a dating site. She in love, she gave it to him. She gave him this money. Ain't no gun and knife. Nobody put a gun to nobody's head and done that. It's amazing.
If that had been me 5 years ago, that would have been the end of me. I kid you not, he would have destroyed me. Because I would have believed, okay, well, I'm not worth living.
She hold herself out of this man's wife. How do you steal from your wife? How is Mr. Lawrence stealing from her and he her husband? This ain't no theft case. She gave him the money.
Elizabeth says she did not hold herself out as Michael's wife. It was Michael who called her wife and himself husband to trick her into trusting more. Are you and Michael a man who doesn't exist? Are you two married?
We are not married, absolutely not married. There is no marriage between me and the con artist. I mean, the whole thing was so ridiculous, I could hardly believe my ears.
And my position is that if she said that's her husband, done it, he can't steal nothing from her.
Will the judge buy the defense attorney's argument? First, Elizabeth has a chance to read a statement. She's afraid, but the attorney's tactics make her angry enough to stay with it.
This was the summer of 2019, before most people, including me, knew about AI and deep fakes. So the person I was speaking with seemed real. This included Skype calls where I saw his face.
Like an actual Skype call? A still picture or someone talking?
Talking. They were talking to me.
She details their last call together as well.
He said, "I don't know why you won't believe me. I truly care and hope someday you will forgive me for what I'm about to do." He stopped talking and I heard a gunshot. The phone went quiet as I called out his name in shock. I believed that I had just heard this man that I had spent the last several months getting to know had just committed suicide. In the weeks following, I did not sleep, I did not eat or leave my room. The emotional and psychological toll this took on me required 24/7 care with my doctors. The money they stole was meant to help my disabled sister, allow me to reconnect with my friends, family, and live out my final years in peace. I frequently contemplated suicide as a way to manage the unending emotional suffering, self-blame, and shame I felt.
What will the judge decide? Will Carly and Henry go to prison? The defense attorneys want probation only for their clients, no time behind bars.
If the bank's closing your account, you need to at least say what's wrong. You don't go, I'm definitely not filling probation.
At the next hearing, the judge's decision. Carly Anthony and Henry Franklin agree to testify against other members in the scheme. Carly pleads guilty. Henry files an Alford plea where he pleads guilty without admitting guilt. And yes, prison, 3 years each. The defense attorneys did not respond to our requests for comment.
If your accounts are being closed and you reopen them at different banks, that generally, I don't care if you're 20 or 70, you know something wrong.
Just 2 players from the scam. But there may be more to come as the investigation continues. Most romance scam victims never see anyone go to court. Elizabeth is one of the few.
I do feel that justice has been served because I didn't even think they would see jail time.
She's still holding out hope that the judge will ask Carly and Henry to pay some money back.
I think justice will be completely served if there is restitution. There's no guarantee of that, I know that, but that would be a blessing.
I can get you to raise your right hand. We're going to swear you in.
Months later, in March of 2025, the hope for money back is still alive.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I will.
It's the last hearing for the 2 men, by video, with a familiar crew.
Was your savings account completely wiped out from the theft?
Yes, it was.
Not just the $550,000 that she sent off to criminals. Elizabeth also has to pay taxes on the money she withdrew from her retirement account in the scam at more than $150,000.
Were they willing to forgive those taxes because you were a victim, or were they still charging you for that money?
Oh, no, there was still the charge. There was no forgiveness.
Now the defense attorneys can speak.
All right, then, Mr. Walker, what's your position?
At this time, we have no argument about this, Judge. It is what it is.
What about you, Mr. Ryan?
Just briefly, Judge.
Henry Franklin's attorney wants the judge to cut down the amount Henry would pay back, saying he didn't know he was part of a scam. He was just one player of many, and he didn't keep much of the money.
And I'm very sorry for what happened to this woman, but I just don't know that my client's fully responsible for the tax ramifications.
But the judge disagrees.
The money didn't go to Mr. Franklin and stay with Mr. Franklin.
Everybody's claiming they didn't get any money, right? No one knows where this money went. That's at least the claim. My position is, well, you should have known. You should have known you were involved in something that was dubious.
The final ruling, Carly Anthony to pay Elizabeth back about $115,000. Henry Franklin to return about $200,000 and pay the other 3 victims about $210,000 split among them. All this starting in 2027.
I learned a terrible lesson, but I hope that lesson will help others.
With her savings gone, Elizabeth is back at work at age 77, struggling to keep her home. That voice still haunts her.
I love you so much. Okay? Kisses, mama.
She may never receive the restitution money. A court order does not guarantee actual payment, and it would still fall short of what she lost. But she takes solace in helping other people avoid the same heartbreak. The numbers show romance scam victims lost more than $1 billion in the U.S. in 2024.
I've had victims with master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, super intelligent, and they fell for a scam. And they're embarrassed. But if they don't speak up or say something and report it, this person is going to continue to do this to other people, and it hinders us from catching them and stopping them overall.
It's more than just embarrassment. Many people mock and blame victims, saying it's their fault and they deserve what they get.
And for those that say that we're stupid, I would say to you, that's fine. Maybe we are, but it doesn't solve the problem. We need to do everything we can do to make sure that people aren't suffering from these types of scams.
Everyone is vulnerable to some kind of scam. If this sounds like yours, Elizabeth says, ask for help.
And don't blame yourself. If you're a victim, please come forward. Please report it. Let us help each other. That's the most important thing, Carrie.